Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Rethink Your Legacy. This is Francisco Servent. I am your attorney and problem solver at law. Today, you know what? Holy moly, the kids, are they really going back to school? This is amazing. I'm so excited. My wife's so excited. My kids are so excited. This is kind of a neat thing. We're celebrating going back to school. This isn't something we ever thought would come, right? These are those moments during the pandemic when we're celebrating things that we never thought would actually we would celebrate. But the kids are so happy. It's great, right? It's great. Kids are headed into fall break. I think it's great so far. You know, the school thing has been weird, but we're getting through it. And you know what? This is what it is. I call myself an attorney and problem solver at law. I've done that for a long time because life is more than solving legal legal things. It's more than being a counselor, right? People want problems solved, and that's really, this pandemic has just shown us time and time again, we want to solve problems. We don't just want to, languish in the pit of the pandemic. We want these problems solved. And, can you just wave a magic wand and everything's back to normal? It's not going to happen, but we can work towards getting things back to normal. And this is a step in that direction. I'm so excited to see it. Because the reason, right? Because being online for school for kids, especially my kids, right? They're in elementary school. Actually, my two are older are just starting 7th grade. It's not as good as going to real school. It's not as good as being able to socialize and go get to know their friends. This is a big deal. I think it's a big problem for this generation or this age, this year, people who are going to suffer through this. This is tough. It's tough on adults who've lost their jobs. It's tough on the kids. I think there's psychologically going to be a long-term repercussion that we're not going to really know how bad the effects are for some time. Anyway, here we are. Welcome back. I'm glad you guys are here. If you don't join this show regularly yet, I welcome you to. We're here every week. And you know what's even more fun, more cool about this is right before this show, just the hour before, is our sister company's show, Rethink Your Money. And John Higginson, he's the host of that show. He does a great job of helping you learn how to really maximize your retirement through protecting your money, making sure you're not getting swindled by some shyster financial advisor out there who's just slinging product. And I invite you to check that out. John and I have been great friends for many, many years and just have tons of respect for what he does. So check out Rethink Your Money right before this one. But today you are here for Rethink Your Legacy. So I'm an estate planning attorney. We do wills and trusts, and we help people administer their loved ones' affairs. We also help people, right, when there wasn't a good plan in place and now things are falling apart. And that can happen for a million reasons. That can happen, unfortunately, for things that are sometimes even beyond your control. But what we do is I'm 100% committed to making sure you know what you can do. Pandemic has shown us that we don't have as much control over everything in our life as we thought we did. I think of all these businesses that are literally, their doors were locked by the stroke of a pen by the government and just shut down overnight. I have a couple friends, who they literally had to walk in and lay off 100 employees, 150 employees. And it just breaks my heart that's possible. Casinos are safe, right? But no. Churches, they have to shut down. This stuff just doesn't make sense to me. But it is what it is, and it breaks my heart. But we don't have as much control sometimes as what we think we do. And I want you to know the full amount of control that you have when it comes to your family, protecting your legacy, protecting your estate. So that's what we're going to talk about today. You've got me for the hour. You're not going to get a bill. And that may be the first time you don't get a bill from a lawyer for sitting down and having a conversation with them. So what I call, the conversation here is designed to help you live out your family's values before you leave this world. Because look, sorry to break the news. We're all stuck with one truth, that this amazing life is going to end. And it's going to come to an end whether we're ready for it or not. And if you have a family, if you have loved ones, they are counting on you to be ready for it. So if you need help with planning, here's how you get in touch with us: 480-750-7788. Or you can jump on our website, radio.keystonelawfirm.com. And there's a button right there. You can just click and you can schedule your first appointment. Or you can request a free copy of my book. So I'm the author of Pack Your Parachute, which is it's an amazing little guide that just breaks it down into 12 easy concepts for how to understand what you need to do to plan your estate. And we're happy to send you a free copy of that. Just jump on that, radio.keystonelawfirm.com, request it, and it'll be on its way. So where are we? Okay, so the whole idea that we don't have as much control as we thought we did is, I want to give you back. I want to make sure you do take the control you do have. And one of those is by knowing when you need to update your will or your trust. Okay, I 100% believe that this weird thing that nobody wants to even talk about, your will or your trust, right? It's this big, daunting, overwhelming concept of, oh my gosh, if I write my will, if I talk about it, it's going to happen. Well, I promise you, I've done it thousands of times. And so far, sitting down and talking about your will hasn't caused somebody to drop over, knock on wood. But so I don't expect it to happen to you, but it's not going to happen. It's just a matter of stepping into that next stage of life and being the leader of your family that you want to be, that you picture yourself that you are. And that's what it is. It's just stepping into it and saying, you know what, I can own this conversation. It's not going to scare me away, and doing something about it. So what you should know is that the conversation shouldn't be scary. In our office, we totally try to do things differently. We are not a mahogany lined walls offices with marble floors. Nah, we have a really fun, casual office in Chandler. We do serve all over the state now. We've actually gone statewide to be able to help you get your plans done. So if you're catching this in Flagstaff or in Tucson or in Payson, yep, we can help you. We've got now mobile services available where we can actually just send people straight to your home when we need to. We do most of it just by phone, by video call. And then bam, you get to sign right in the comfort of your own home. And that's kind of a cool thing, because you don't even have to pick up and go to an uncomfortable lawyer's office halfway across town, worry about parking and getting up to the 14th floor and all that stuff. You can just pick up the phone, pick up the computer, and bam, you've got it, and you're working on it, and you're getting it done. We found that people love to stay home and talk with our attorneys. It makes it easy for you to look at documents and answer questions. You just look at it right on your computer screen. Way more comfortable than what we've done in the past. But if you're near us or you want to make the trip, which we do, sometimes I chuckle because they're like, all right, I'm driving down. I'm like, wait, where are you driving down from? Well, I'm driving down from Payson. Oh, sweet. Awesome. You are always welcome to. We are absolutely taking care of people in our office. We have all the precautions in place with socially distant conference rooms, with masks, with cleaning protocols in place, all the right stuff just to keep you safe. So the first thing, just so you know, that people typically do with us as a new client, what they'll do is they'll call and talk to one of the team members. That first call, there's no charge, of course, and it's just really just figure out what the process is, right? So call and talk to the team, 480-750-7788. And what they are going to do is they're just going to kind of brainstorm it with you. Obviously, they're not going to build out a strategy for you on your first phone call. They're going to just chit chat and get to know you, get to know what's going on, what do you want to do, and make sure this is something we can help with. Okay. Like I said, we do lots of stuff from the planning side, protecting your assets. If you're a business owner, if you're a retiree, if you're going into a nursing home, right? We help you protect your assets. Or if you're dealing with a loved one's affairs that have to be administered, who's passed away, or even somebody who's elderly and you're stepping in as the power of attorney or the trustee, we help people do that. There's lots of things in there. There's lots of variety of what it could be or couldn't be. And we stick to our niche. We do not do bankruptcies and DUIs and divorces. We don't. We just do this. So we're really good at it. But that first phone call is to help make sure we can do what you need. And then the next step will be for you to schedule what we call a discovery hour. That's your first face-to-face or computer-to-computer video call where we're going to go deep. Okay, you're going to meet with someone on my team and they're going to go deep to help figure out your goals. So give us a call, 480-750-7788. You can also jump on our website, like I said, radio.keystonelawfirm.com. And if you do have a question, you just want to send it to radio@keystonelawfirm.com and we'll answer it on an upcoming episode. And come right back after the break where we're going to dig in on our first case study. Welcome back to Rethink Your Legacy. This is Francisco Servet, your attorney and problem solver at law. You don't want to go with a regular attorney because, oh my gosh, no, I'm just kidding. There are some good attorneys out there. They're few and far between. If you find a good one, you know you found a good one. And that's why I call myself a problem solver at law. We are talking today about when to update your will or trust. We handle only estate planning and estate administration matters. And one piece of our practice is the times when things didn't go right or weren't planned correctly. And now the family is dealing with a mess. So we get called in to fix the mess a lot. And it's unfortunately been a whole lot over the last, I'd say, the last few months. We've seen that just go up and up and up. Now that can happen both during somebody's lifetime when there's, you have to help take care of mom or dad or something like that. And say, I'll give you all the details here, but say you need to like sell mom or dad's house and you can't because they can't legally sign and there's nothing, then you're stuck going into court to get permission to do that, or after death. So we work with all of those. So if it's a guardianship, conservatorship, or something after death, that's what we focus on. Now, because we do that every day in and day out, oh my gosh, we've come up with, unfortunately, too many case studies. So we're going to go over a couple case studies right now. I want to give you guys the breakdown of 2 horror stories and what happened and how it happened. That way you can avoid that happening to you. I don't have time to go through like 300 horror stories, but I'm going to go through 2 that I think are probably 2 of the most common problems we run into and we see. That way you can avoid this, okay? And like I said, if you need help, give us a call, 480-750-7788. Either preventing the problem, or if you're in the problem right now, we can help figure out a way for you to fix it. That's my invitation to you. The first case study is one that I got a call. This was a few years ago. I got a call from a gal who had been taking care of her dad for a while. And if you are, this is that whole sandwich generation, right? Where you're in your 50s or 60s, you're still working, you're still taking care of your kids because they're just barely becoming adults. But then your parents are now getting to the point in their years where they're starting to need more help. They're in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and they just need more help. Where it really becomes a big stress is when you have to really step in. You're the one, and you have to step in and actually take care of them. Maybe not as a caregiver day to day. That's tough. We talked to lots of people. So this gal had to start to step in to take care of her dad's all of his financial affairs. So he moved into an assisted living home. I think he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. It was kind of early-ish stages. So he moves into a nursing home and she starts taking over all the bills. He had a few pieces of property that were being rented, so she's having to manage those. And it's kind of going okay. She's figuring it out. It's a lot to manage. I mean, managing our own financial life is enough, but managing somebody else's is a little bit more. There's just more to it, I guess. And she had a couple other siblings, so she kind of tried to keep them aware of what was happening with all the different moving pieces. And she works full time. Her and her husband both work full time, and they've got a couple kids of their own. And she's at work one day, she gets a phone call from the police department, local police department. I'm not going to tell you names or exact locations. She gets a phone call from one of the local police departments, and they say that we have your dad. And she goes, what do you mean you have my dad? This is the middle of the workday. You guys are listening to this on Sunday morning, right? So what happens if you get that phone call in the middle of the workday? She freaks out. What the heck? What do you mean you got my dad? So they said, you need to come over to this place. We're at the corner of X and Y. Get over here. Your dad's safe, but we need you here. So she jumps up, tells her boss, I gotta go, got an emergency with dad, leaves. Comes over to get to that intersection, finds the police department with her dad. He's okay. But then the story unfolds, right? And the whole thing that unfolded was he walked out on his own. And that's what he walked out of the assisted living facility on his own. That's what he did. And how could he do that, right? If you need help figuring this out, give us a call, 480-750-7788. She eventually had to give us a call because what she found out was that she didn't have the authority, even though he had all of his documents in place, will, trust, power of attorney, healthcare directives, living will. He had the whole package, lawyer prepared and everything. She didn't have the authority to tell the assisted living home, the nursing home, to not let him leave. So she didn't have the authority to basically lock him up. She went back to them and said, why did you let my dad leave? I mean, she's chewing them out, right? I'm giving it to you nicely. She's chewing them out up and down, left and right. And they said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but your healthcare power of attorney, it doesn't allow you to say, put dad in a memory care unit. And so that nursing home, they told her, they said, I'm sorry, you can't lock your dad up. Essentially, you kind of get that if you think about it, right? It's a constitutional right. It's like our human right. Somebody else can't lock me up. The government, I guess, can if we're a criminal, but my daughter can't unless you've given her the authority to when you're sick and you have Alzheimer's. Well, in his healthcare power of attorney, it was drafted so long ago, it didn't include those updated provisions, and it was too old. So she said, holy cow, what do I need to do? Because I can't let this happen again. They said, well, I'm sorry, your dad's beyond the point of being able to sign new legal documents. So the only choice is you have to go get appointed as the guardian. And that's when she called that phone number, 480-750-7788. The phone number you want to call before the emergency happens. Don't call that too late. And she called and she said, what is this? And I explained to her, we've got to file a lawsuit against your dad. We've got to go to court. We got to tell the judge what we need. The judge is going to appoint an attorney for him. That attorney, in that case, we got a second attorney involved, a guardian ad litem. Both of these attorneys billing their full hourly rate, dad paying for all of it. And about $90,000 later in legal fees, the court gave her the authority, gave her the permission to do what she needed to do to take care of her dad. And she was able to put him in a memory care floor and keep him safe. That's insane to me that it cost that much money. And it took over, I think it was about 10 months in court battling it out to actually get her that authority. Because these court-appointed attorneys, they're strangers to the family. And they're essentially allowing him to tell them what they want to do. Tell them what he wants to do. And they have to fight for it. And they did. They fought for it. And it was just immensely stressful 10-month time period you can imagine. I mean, this is, if you've ever been through a divorce, that's what this felt like. She's in court, dad's in court. They've never been, they haven't been fighting about her taking care of dad for the whole time. She's just been taking care of him. And he's been grateful. He's been a thankful, grateful father until we got in court. And he's confused by the process. And he says, no, I don't want my daughter to lock me up, which is understandable. But it took 10 months with doctor's reports and evaluations and long lost family members coming in to testify and the court having to give everybody a chance to air the dirty laundry. And then finally, the court says, yeah, you can take care of your dad. Holy cow. That's the problem with not keeping this stuff up to date. The same thing happens after death. If he would have just, so if this dad would have just kept these documents up to date, then that wouldn't have happened. Okay. He ended up passing away right after that. When a stressful event happens with somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia, we know, medically speaking, there's a very rapid decline in their health, and that's what happened with them. It was tragic. It was absolutely tragic. So if you want to avoid that, please do. Please help your family avoid that. Give us a call, 480-750-7788. Or you can go to our website, radio.keystonelawfirm.com, and there you can schedule your first appointment or request a copy of my book. At least get the book. The book's free. There's no charge. It goes through 12 things that I think you need to cover, 12 ideas that you can take and implement and protect your family. And look, it's no catch at all. Just let us send it to you. Go to radio.keystonelawfirm.com. If you want to schedule your first appointment where you really go deep and you talk about your issues, what are your goals, and then let my team help you understand what your options are, then what you're going to ask for is what we call a discovery hour. That's your first appointment with us when you are really committed to, I need to figure out a problem and I need to solve this. Ask for that, get that going. That discovery hour, it's really no pressure. It's just an initial session to help brainstorm out your options. And if there's an option you like and you want to start with us, then all the process of what that would look like is explained plain as day. We don't hide the ball on our fees. We don't hide the ball on what the process looks like. We're very transparent with all of that. All right, coming up after the break, I'm going to actually dig in on the times to update your plan. You cannot miss the next section. Welcome back to Rethink Your Legacy. I'm Francisco Servent. So today we're digging in on when do you need to update your trust. What an exciting topic. I get it. Not as exciting as the politics that are going around. But hey, let me give you a break from the politics, give you some clarity on some things that you actually do have control over. If you've been following the show, you know that I am like a hardcore family guy. I've got 4 kids of my own. My wife, she takes care of them full time. And it is a job. It is also a ton of fun to have a family. It's way more fun than I actually thought it would be. Haha, kids. It just is. I mean, my kids are a ton of fun. And if you're the kind of person who has a family that you love, you have kids you love, maybe you have kids you don't, maybe not. You want to know this. You want to know that you're not leaving things unfinished, that you're not leaving them a mess. And that's what we do at Keystone Law Firm. So today's lesson, we talked about, it's really is when do you need to update your will or trust, and what is and we talked about, I told you guys that story about the gal taking care of her dad. Now, the whole thing about updating your will or trust, this is it honestly is a big problem in my industry that lawyers have made it so hard for people to update their estate plans, their documents. And I think that's just, I don't know. I think there's a lot of incentive to make it complicated. We've made it really simple at Keystone. So I'm going to tell you how we do that next. So here is when you need to do that. So if you're taking notes, these are the things to write down. If you're driving, just please come back and listen to the recording, or remember that you can go to radio.keystonelawfirm.com and download the notes for today's show, and you don't need to take notes. Just go to radio.keystonelawfirm.com. Okay, the 3 things that trigger a need to update. I mean need, like what we talked about, that gal who ended up spending $90,000 to protect her dad and take care of him, even though he had an estate plan. She still had to go to probate. You need to do it whenever. You need to check, you need to check to see if you need an update. If things within your financial picture change, so money or the people in your plan change, or the laws change. Those are the 3 things: money, people, and laws. Now, within your money can be any property, any real estate, any bank accounts, investments, savings, anything like that. And on the people side, it can be it needs to be everybody. So anybody on the people side, whether it's you, whether you've changed who you like or don't like, whether people have moved around, and then laws. There's all kinds of laws that have to change. So What I want to do with you is go through all of those, okay, and break them down so that you have a complete grasp of what we're looking at, what us lawyers are looking at when we're trying to evaluate, do we actually need to execute a document change, right? Sometimes it's just a discussion and it's evaluation, and we say no, nothing in the documents needs to change. But it, you've got to have that consideration in there of all of these factors. So you ready to take some fast notes? Not all these things are going to be on the show notes. Okay. In the money side, okay, you've got to make a list of everything that's on your sort of personal balance sheet. And if you're an accountant, I've seen your work. You guys bring us your personal balance sheets already complete. But here's everything that needs to go on there, okay? All the simple things like your checking and savings accounts. So you got to list every checking account you have, every savings account that you have, what bank they're at, and whose name is on that account, whether it's joint with you and your spouse or whatever, right? You got to put all those on there. So checking, savings, you got to have money markets. You're going to want to do your stocks, your bonds, your mutual funds, savings bonds, CDs. You'll want to put your brokerage accounts, your IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, any annuities you have, no matter what kind they are, you'll want to put on your not annuities. What was the next thing I was just thinking about? Insurance, life insurance. And whether it's a term policy that has no cash value, or if it does have cash value, like a universal or a whole life policy, you want to put those on there. And then you're going to start listing real estate, your home, if you have a timeshare, if you have a second home, if you have rental properties, if you have a business property, you want to get all those. If you have vacant land somewhere, if grandpa left you a tiny little sliver interest in some piece of something back in the Midwest, you got to put that on there. Mineral rights, oil rights. I mean, some of these things are so nebulous that few people have them. But sometimes I ask the question, they're like, oh my gosh, I forgot I have that. I do get a check for $3 every quarter. How annoying. I have to list that? Yeah, you have to list it. Put that on the list. Vehicles, all your vehicles, your trailers, your boats, your toys, all of them. And then on the personal property, right, the stuff around the house, you don't need to list every item. Oh my gosh, don't even try. You want to list anything that has high sentimental value, like, grandma's Bible or something, right? Or high dollar value. If you do have something that's high dollar value, then please list that too. All of those things need to be listed. Okay, this is the first step. Now, if you're already overwhelmed and you just want help, give us a call. Don't wait. 480-750-7788. It is what we do all day long, every day. We make it simple for you, as easy as it possibly can be. 480-750-7788. Once you've listed everything for the money, then you need to ask yourself, has any of this changed in the last year or since you last did your will or your trust? And by has it changed, I don't mean has your checking account balance gone up $300 or down $54.23. No. Have any of the values changed? Roughly kind of give you a guideline of 10% or more up or down, or have you acquired anything new, or have you disposed of anything that was there in the old plan? So if you've acquired new things or disposed of anything in the last year, or if you're planning to acquire or dispose of things, or if you can foresee that some of these things are going to go up or down in value by more than 10%, then you need to trigger that as okay, I need to ask the question, does this need to be updated? Does my plan need to be updated? Okay, that's the money stuff. The second thing is the people. So the people in your plan, you're going to be looking at your spouse if you're married, your kids if you have kids, your grandkids if you have grandkids. Then you also want to look at, and so you're creating this list of all these people. You're going to make a list of anybody you've named as a power of attorney or a executor, a personal representative, a healthcare director, a healthcare agent, or your trustee, successor trustee. You want to list all of those people. And then with respect to all of them or each of them, you want to ask, did anybody get married or divorced? Did anybody have a child or any births or God forbid, any deaths in their life, okay? And then you want to ask, did any of those people have any medical emergencies or major disabilities set in? And then with respect to each one of them, did any of them have any major financial crises? Did they lose a job, file bankruptcy, get sued, dragged into a big business dispute, anything like that? Because if their world has been rocked financially, that might affect what needs to happen in your plan, okay? That's with respect to all the people. And then the last category, third one, is with the laws. Ha ha ha. How many of you out there want to monitor all the different laws? Sometimes I don't even want to monitor all the laws. They change so freaking too often. And so with the laws, you got to look at a few things. You got to look at the federal law. There's tax law at the federal level. There's tax regulations, and there's the tax court cases. So all of those tax cases, and there's even some federal laws that apply to trusts and inheritance, which are a little bit more nuanced, but those have to be monitored. Like the new Big Secure Act that just changed everything with how you inherit IRAs this year. That was a huge change. So there's that one, federal level. And then at the state level, you got to look at the probate laws and the probate rules. You got to look at the trust laws and the trust rules and the local tax laws and all of those. And then you got to say the changes that were passed this year among all those different legal dimensions, do any of those affect me and my family? Wow, I barely got through it. We got just a second left. If you need help with this, give us a call. 480-750-7788. It's a lot to cover. If you want to do it on your own, though, that's what you got to do. And go through that checklist every single year. That's what we do. That's the unique thing that we have at Keystone, our Trust Care program, where we do that for you. You don't have to think it through. We do it for you. We keep you disciplined and accountable to that and make sure things are updated as they need to be. Just like you do with your taxes, just like you do with an annual physical, just like you do with your car. You take it in and you let them go through the checklist. That's what we do for our clients for a nice fixed flat fee. And you can go to radio.keystonelawfirm.com where you can get today's show notes. And you can also request a copy of my free book, Pack Your Parachute. We will fire that over to your email immediately. And you will be able to learn about all kinds of stuff, 12 topics in there covered to help you protect your family, to learn all about these things with regard to estate planning and probate. All right, what we're going to do after the break is I've got a few questions from our listeners, and we're going to actually just dig in on those questions, answer them. If you have questions, send them in. radio@keystonelawfirm.com. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Rethink Your Legacy. I'm Francisco Cervin. I'm your attorney and problem solver at law. We've got 3 questions that I hope I have time to get through. Let's get through all of them. These are 3 problems that I think will help everybody out there. Number 1, what happens if we don't update our plan? Well, okay, good question. I mean, this isn't stuff you're like chomping at the bit. Oh, I'm so excited. I get to go do my will and my trust today. Yeah, nobody does that. Okay, I get it. So we're trying to avoid it. Sure. All right, fine. You want to avoid it. Look, I'm just kidding. What happens? Well, what happens is we talked about one hypothetical, quote unquote hypothetical, earlier in the show about a gal whose dad didn't update his plan, and he ended up needing her, with Alzheimer's. He ended up needing to go into a memory care unit where they don't let their patients wander off into the streets and get in trouble and hurt themselves. Because he didn't update his documents, she ended up having to go to court to get the documents updated. Essentially, she got the authority from the court that he could have given her in an updated document. Cost him $90,000. Cost him the last 10 months of his life. Was insanely stressful because it was a battle in court, and it was all completely avoidable. Had he kept his documents up to date, kept his healthcare directives up to date with all the current needs and laws and compliance, they wouldn't have had that problem. Another example on what happens after somebody passes away. We had a gal who she passed away and left 2 kids, older, and she didn't update her estate plan. She had a old will that, was easy, simple, leave everything to them equally, like 2 kids equally. Well, because she didn't update it, it ended up, again, like a 2.5 year battle because the document was so old, had to go to court. Attorneys had to get involved. Whenever attorneys have to get involved in court, it's going to get expensive. It's going to be dragged out. The court process is never fast and easy. It is always expensive and slow. So you want to avoid that. She gave her kids a old will, and it ended up with a fight, ended up with a battle, ended up with tons of legal fees, and it ended up damaging the relationship between her two kids, who they didn't have that problem before. And now they've got this thing in their life. So what happens if you don't update it? Look, I get it. You're rolling the dice. If you want to roll the dice for your family, it's your choice. Same thing with stuff like life insurance. You want to roll the dice, I guess that's how you roll. I'm a fan of doing what we can to take care of them and taking it for real, being real about this. So if that's you, then it's time to figure out if you need to update it. And give us a call, 480-750-7788, if you want to figure out how we do that for clients. Second question, okay? Second question, and just listen, you guys can send questions in, okay? I'm happy to do it. radio@keystonelawfirm.com. Just shoot it in, say, hey, I heard the show and I've got a question. I will plug it into a future episode, and we'll play it back, and we'll even send you back a note saying, hey, it's going to air on this date. Make sure you listen. All right. So just send in your questions. Happy to answer them. Third. All right. Number two. We got this one. It is, do we need to update if we did this in another state? Yeah. Well, okay. This gets hard to answer in general, right? It's much easier to answer if we know one-on-one who you are, what your situation is, when did you update, what state did you come from, just a million questions, not a million, maybe like 20 questions. But I'll try to give you a general answer so you can get something out of this. A general answer is you need to have it reviewed at least, because there can be significant tax law differences between one state and another. And one of those states is, or from the Northwest. Well, let me just give you the reason. Some states still have a very big estate tax that's due on death. And if you don't, if in that state, you're going to do a lot of things in your trust to avoid that tax, because a tax can be a big tax bill. So in those states, you're going to do a whole lot of complicated tax strategy planning. Well, if you move to Arizona and you no longer are affiliated with that state, you don't need all that complication. You can simplify your plan way down. And usually that makes it a lot simpler for the surviving spouse. So now often it's the guys, you guys out there, you're the ones who are like, man, my family will figure it out when I'm gone. I get that us guys are not big fans of creating estate plans, but I promise you, your widow is a huge fan of getting this stuff right. So that's what I would say about plans in another state or from another state. So if you came from another state, if you're like, oh geez, I did my will or my trust in California, I did it in Massachusetts, I did it in Wisconsin or Washington, and you're now in Arizona, yeah, you need to have that question answered, because it just might be a big giant mess and very expensive to administer. So it might be worth at least the question. 480-750-7788 is how you can get that question answered for you and your family. All right. Question number 3, the last question, and looks like I'm going to make it on time. Woohoo. All right. Last question, number 3. How much does it cost if I just need a simple amendment? I love this question. So one of my commitments to all my clients is that you will get a return on your investment with whatever you pay us. We never, ever, ever take on a case, whether it's a complicated, messy guardianship or complicated, messy estate litigation, or an estate planning project where we can quote it as a flat fee. We never take those on unless we can show you this is going to make you money back. I mean, it's not like a put in the stock market kind of investment, but yes, you want to give us X dollars and know that it's going to be worth 5X or 10X, right? Absolutely, all the time, every day. So what we do for that, we actually have something we call our 10X no probate guarantee. Our firm, I think we're the only firm in the state, maybe even in the country, that offers a 10x no probate guarantee. Literally, what that means is, I mean, you can call and get a copy of the written document that lays out all of the details of the guarantee. But what that essentially means is it is a 10 times guarantee that you won't pay probate fees. And what you pay, we guarantee 10x. And so that's how we make sure you get your money's worth. So how much does it cost to get a simple amendment? Hey, simple is, compared to what is always the question. So can we slap a 1-page thing on top of your 50-page document and certify it and put it under my malpractice insurance? Do you really think, you can go to a doctor and have heart surgery and then go back to another doctor and say, well, you just stitch this one thing and take liability for the whole thing? A good doctor wouldn't do that. And same thing with our firm. So what I typically recommend is, if you enjoyed who you worked with to create your first plan, right? Go back to them. That is the best and easiest and simplest and cheapest way to get a simple amendment, is to have them do it. Hands down, no questions asked. There you go. I just told you how to get it done simply. When we take on a new client, it's our general rule is we're going to do things the way we do them because we know we can stand behind it. And so far, we've got a 100% success rate. Our clients, thousands of clients, have avoided probate. And so, in order for us to provide that kind of certainty to your family, we're going to bring it up under the way we do it, but we usually get to save a ton of the work that you already did. So that's how you do a simple amendment, I guess. That's the answer I can give you today. So give us a call if you need help with this, 480-750-7788. And what you're going to ask for is your discovery hour, where you will help us understand your issues, help us understand your goals, and let us show you what options are relevant for your family. The purpose of that appointment is to help you really understand and be clear about what your options are. No pressure, very comfortable appointment. We're doing them either in our office or virtually around the state, anywhere you are in Arizona. Give us a call, 480-750-7788. Thanks for joining me today. Good morning, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to helping you create a new legacy.